I'm Josie Gaeckle, Senior Vice President of Client Insights at SMG, and I'm very excited to be joined by Shish Sridhar for SMG's Meet the Expert series. Shish is the Global Retail Startups lead at Microsoft and sits on the advisory board at George Mason University's Center for Retail Transformation. He has been recognized this year as one of the top 100 retail influencers by Rethink Retail. Shish, congratulations on your well-deserved recognition, and thanks so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you, Josie. And I'm honored to be on this podcast and looking forward to having a great conversation with you around retail and customer experience.
And so today, with all of Shish's experience, we're going to talk all about best practices using technology and automation with the customer experience. So to start off, Shish, I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about the term cobotics.
Super. So one of I think the big trends that I've been seeing in retail, and I work with a lot of innovative startups, and look at all the trends that are happening in retail in order to really align some of the startups that I'm recruiting to match with some of the big challenges. And the big challenge that I'm seeing is automation. Retailers are challenged with everything from the lack of labor to the cost of operation and all of that. And as a result, automation of some of those tasks has been top of mind for many retailers. And they've been looking at processes, robotic processes, robots, as ways of automating these things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the big challenges, robots are great for certain things and not great for others. And a lot of times, shopping is all about social activities, social experiences. It's about people, and having a completely automated store is not what a lot of people would want to experience. I would rather shop online than have to have a completely automated experience in the physical world. So cobotics is sort of that interesting space, and it really stands for collaborative robots or cobots. And this is where you have a good mix of people and robots doing tasks, where there is elements of the task that can be automated, that is just repetitive things. And it enables the people, the employees, the store associates to be more efficient with the help of robots to actually work side by side with a lot of the robots, and that's gaining a lot of traction.
Love that. I love the idea of the synergy, right? And how do we help the employees? So there's an employee engagement standpoint there, help them be more efficient or have to work less on the things that are efficiency related and more on the customer, along with a customer benefit.
Exactly.
As well.
And some of those things, the big question in my mind has always been, why aren't the store associates, why is there a shortage suddenly? And part of it was, the working conditions, the pay, and all of those are an issue. And retailers are saying, how can we make the working condition better for many of the store associates by taking away some of the repetitive, boring, tedious tasks and making it more fun? And that's, again, I think, an element where cobotics comes in, where becoming a store associate in collaboration with robots could be a better experience than doing some of the things that they just hate doing.
That's absolutely right. I love that. It's going for the better, the improved experience as well. Yep. And so I guess related to that, I'd love to talk a little bit more. I mean, cobotics is a fabulous example of where technology and automation can work really well. Where does it not work really well in terms of technology and innovation for the customer experience?
And something I alluded to as well is, shopping being that social activity, or rather physical shopping in most cases, where I could shop online for a lot of things, and I could go into the store. And for a lot of people, that in-store experience tends to be a situation where they want to engage with people, they want to ask questions, they want to interact with people, and completely automating that tasks that are typically a human engagement task is generally not a good idea. In many cases, we've seen situations where a call center, you call a number and it's completely automated. And a lot of people get annoyed, frustrated because the automated system may or may not understand them fully. They are typically calling when they're frustrated and they want to talk to people, and then now they're engaged with a robotic voice that is taking them through steps and not really solving the problem they have. Those are situations, I would say, where human engagement is super important. In cases where you have customer experience is a key element. You're dealing with customers that are potentially, having a bad experience, and then having to, deal with a robot is not making it any better. So those are situations, I would say, where automation is probably not a good idea. But at the same time, cobotics, where if I was calling a call center and the automated bit just gets the initial information out, and then the person behind the call center is able to assist me with the help of a cobot in the background. The cobot could be transcribing the call. The cobot could be extracting the keywords from that call and then referring to back-end line of business systems and bringing up information for the human very quickly. Those kind of things are actually making that experience a lot better. The interface is with a human, but that human is being assisted with automation. So to me, those are great examples. And the bad ones are where the entire customer experience is automated and the human element is taken away from it. That would be a challenge. Similarly, a lot of the stores have been looking at automation. Coffee places like Starbucks have been looking at automation, and eliminating the baristas would obviously not be a great idea. People can make coffee at home. They don't want to go into a store and pick up a coffee from a robot and talk to a robot. They want to have the human, but at the same time, there are certain elements of it that could be automated so that it's made more efficient and people can talk to the customers, have a human engagement in there. And I think to answer, very simply, the question you had was anything that removes the human engagement from a retail experience completely is probably not a good idea. Assisting the human who engages with customers to make that engagement, make that interface far more efficient is probably the area that many retailers should be looking at. How do we make it better?
I love that. Make it better. Assist the person to make it more efficient is fantastic. And your example that if I want technology to do it all for me, I can just go shop online. I'm not going to actually go to the physical store for that experience if I need something myself. You also gave a Starbucks example, or you alluded a little bit to your Starbucks example and how that they are making things a little more efficient. We're using technology to make things a little more efficient without taking the barista away or allowing the barista to be more customer facing to improve the experience. I'd love to chat a little bit more. Everyone loves to hear examples. What are some other examples of what customers or companies are doing to effectively employ technology and automation?
And I'll dig a little deeper into the Starbucks example, especially the scenario that I thought was excellent. So in Starbucks, one of the big challenges, from a customer experience perspective, was waiting in line for coffee with about 10 people ahead of you, and it's going very slow. And one of the things that Starbucks I thought did very well was figure out what takes it that long? What can we do to speed it up? And they looked at various things. And one of the things that they actually documented in many of the articles that's out in public is that it takes 87 seconds to make a Frappuccino. And this has got like 16 steps that the barista has got to go through to prepare it. And if 10 people ahead of you are ordering something like that, it's 87 seconds times 10 and 16 steps for each of it. So the barista is doing a lot of things to prepare each one of those coffees. And that is something they tackle and said, can we reduce the number of steps? Can we reduce the time it takes? And that's where they put in a lot of automation. They didn't remove the barista from the equation, but they actually enabled some of those steps to be automated. They reduced that 16 steps to 13. And in the process, they automated some of the things in that process that went from 87 seconds to 36 seconds. And this translated to the line moving a lot faster. The processes that the barista has got to do to prepare a coffee reduced significantly. And the moving around they have to do from station to station for all those 16 steps was reduced. The congestion was reduced. So there was a lot of positives there that made that experience for the employee as well as the customer a lot better. And I thought that was a brilliant experience. There are other things that I thought was, from a store perspective that I'm seeing the automation happening is, for example, things like frictionless checkout is something that's being automated quite a lot, where the process of, when you buy things, you stand in line, and sometimes those lines are really long, and this is causing negative experience for many shoppers. So a lot of retailers are now looking at, with the reduced number of people they have in the store, how can they improve the experience of shoppers? And one of those was, can we automate the checkout experience? Can we, as soon as you pick something up from the shelf, you're being checked out right away. And it significantly reduces the time you spend in the store. It reduces the or eliminates the process of waiting line, and also makes things a lot simpler for the store associates. They can go engage with customers. They don't have to do the mechanical process of checking out and scanning and checking out, doing that all day. So they have a better work experience as well. And frictionless checkout is gaining a huge amount of momentum today. With companies like iFi and Sensei and others driving this. We're seeing, this being implemented in Carrefour, for example, or Aldi, for example.
That's a really important one. And I think one that a lot of retailers are trying to figure out, starting with the self-checkout that's been around for so long in grocery, that's definitely made its way into traditional retail, and Scan and Go, another great example. Of course, the balance of theft and ensuring that it's frictionless, which I think is one that a lot of retailers are struggling with today, is how to make the self-checkout better, right, than the associate checkout. But the idea that it's also a better employee experience if they can be doing other things and serving customers is great as well.
Exactly. And other examples I've seen is loss prevention being another one, shelf management, where today many of the retailers actually have employees walking the floor every hour, every aisle, to see, have products been misplaced by shoppers? Are things in disarray? Do we need to replenish certain things on the shelf? Are things mislabeled? And this is just tedious, repetitive, boring tasks for many store associates, and that's being automated with computer vision, AI, all of those things. Spills on the floor. Today, many of the store associates have to go clean up if there's a spill. And today, there's a lot of robots. For example, Walmart is using robots to do the cleanup. So those repetitive things that most store associates don't really like is what's being automated. So there is interesting things happening without necessarily eliminating store associates, just making things easier. And that's where I think, that first question you had, cobotics, comes in.
Thanks so much for joining us, and stay tuned for more thoughts and conversations with our Meet the Expert series.